I am in Austria, more precisely in Scheffau at the Wilder Kaiser, and I can introduce a new electrically driven Volkswagen. After the ID3, ID4 and ID Bus now comes the ID5, in this case the GTX. An SUV coupe. This is made clear by the very steeply sloping flat roof. It really looks very dynamic, and the rear window is also very flat. There are aerodynamic aids at the rear, a tear-off edge, which ensures that you get less lift but more downforce, and that helps to generate good handling. The 21-inch wheels are also visually attractive, and they really do look very dynamic. When I look at the name GTX, that means Gran Turismo with all-wheel drive, because this ID5 GTX has an electric motor on the front axle and one on the rear axle, which automatically generates all-wheel drive. This car is off-road capable, you can even pull a trailer with it and you are always safe on the road if the ground gets a little slippery. Of course, it also has enough power, 299 horsepower is stated, and what is possible with it, I will investigate on the roads of Austria. Let's go. Of course, the ID.5 is also based on the MEB, VW's modular electric building kit. Of course, I'm always interested in the driving behavior of an electrically powered car. These cars have some advantages, but also disadvantages. One disadvantage, for example, is the relatively high weight, which is also due to the battery, which weighs around 500 kilograms. In fast bends, you notice the car's urge to drift outwards. Nevertheless, the car is very neutral on the road. You have the option of setting different driving modes, eco, comfort, sport, traction, or individual, where you can set your own parameters and tune the car the way you want it. The electric VW is thus well equipped for individual use, and the differences between the settings are clearly noticeable. Sporty and comfortable, everything is possible. One thing is clear, I am still from the combustion generation, and driving an electric car is always surprising for me in terms of acceleration and power delivery. These electric motors have plenty of oomph, with 460 Nm of torque and almost 300 horsepower available. This power and torque is available from the very first revolution of the engine, something that combustion engines do not offer. The advantage of all-wheel drive is, of course, if the ground is slippery, or if you want to pull a trailer, perhaps a horse or boat trailer, that is possible with this car. With this GTX 1400 kg is possible, with the ID.5 it is 1200 kg, so it would be an alternative to many others with which you can pull a trailer. In driving position B, more energy is recuperated, electricity is generated. This is also possible in position D, but to a much lesser extent, as more power is generated. In this ID.5 there is a new software 3.0, it contains many improvements. For example, the voice control is more accurate, a bit easier, and the system can also distinguish the passenger and driver. Both can enter something and the system recognizes that very well. Self-parking according to previously saved parking spaces is a real plus. You drive the route once and the system learns all the points very precisely. This can then be saved and used again the next time. This works without steering, braking or accelerating. The system can store 5 different parking spaces. 12 ultrasonic sensors monitor the maneuver, which works up to 50 meters. However, the driver should always be ready to intervene. This ID.5 has relatively short overhangs at the front and rear, which makes for a visually dynamic car, and there is also more space in the interior due to a long wheelbase of 2.77 meters. There is also no cardan tunnel because 2 electric motors are used to generate the all-wheel drive. Interestingly, since this is a coupe, there is plenty of headroom, just a few millimeters less than the ID.4. So that's enough to find plenty of room even with a height of 1.80 meters. Looking under the bonnet, you can't really see much, just a bit of the electric motor mounted on the front axle. The whole system has an output of 220 kW, or 299 horsepower, which means that the car can reach a top speed of 180 km per hour on the motorway, and 100 km per hour is reached in just 6.3 seconds, which is a very sporty value. If you drive consciously and in a power-saving manner, you will achieve a range of around 500 km. I achieved a consumption of 18 to 21 kW. That's presentable. VW gives 17.9 kW according to WLTP. With the software 3.0, there is now also a trip planning function that includes the best charging strategy. The navigation system tells me exactly how much charge I will have at a charging station and how long it will take to charge. If the consumption changes, e.g., due to traffic jams, the charge planning adjusts dynamically. This works perfectly. Up to 135 kW charging power is possible. The system also records swarm data, which helps with travel assist if, for example, no road limits are detected. The system then uses the data from other VWs that have already driven here. The display shows the use of the swarm data. The ID.5 is not only technically different from its brother, the ID.4.
We really wanted to move away from this rugged SUV look that the ID.4 has and wanted to work on an appearance for the ID.5, which brings this more elegant sporty line and therefore also appeals to the tech-affine customer.
The basic ID.5, with 174-204 horsepower, rear-wheel drive and a top speed of 160 km per hour, also achieves this. It too is an eye-catcher. But let's stay with the ID.5 GTX. The battery care mode is also new. It is possible to charge the battery from 5 to 80% in just 29 minutes. Also new is the plug and charge. Without a card, the system recognizes all important data, charges the battery and continues. A very sensible payment system. The battery has a net output of 77 kWh and is mounted low in the car, which makes for a low center of gravity. An option suspension was fitted to the test car, which uses adaptive dampers to provide good roll stabilization. The ID.5 GTX is a successful balancing act between sportiness and genuine comfort. Inside and out, the new ID.5 also meets upmarket demands in terms of e-mobility. Well, it can do that, too, whoever wants to do it, because the balance is perfect. Finally, my opinion of this VW ID.5 GTX. Of course, it's not a real sports car, but it's a very sporty car to drive, and the electric power delivery is really breathtaking for me, and visually, of course, it has a lot to offer. A car like this, the GTX costs €53,615 in the basic version, and the normal ID.5 costs €46,515 and has 174 horsepower. That's all from me. I hope you enjoyed it. See you soon and goodbye.